Hi, I'm Tomi Daniels, a finance director, property investor and developer, a business owner, and a London School of Economics graduate. Over the years, I've picked up a lot of tips and tricks on what you can do to navigate your finance, getting close to your numbers, how to deal with debt, building assets, building a savings culture, and much more. I'll be sharing all of this and more on my new YouTube series, which I've titled Finance Series. Please subscribe to my channel, Tomi Daniels, and please invite your friends and family to follow the journey. You won't regret it. Hello, I'm Tomi Daniels. Welcome back to my channel if you're a returning subscriber or viewer. And if you're yet to subscribe, please subscribe to my channel. This is the finance series. If you missed the first video, definitely check that out. In there I talked about debt, dealing with debt, and before that I also talked about stuff like getting close to your numbers and dealing with the fear that comes with getting close to your numbers or getting to know your numbers. So you definitely want to check out that video, where you can watch this first and then go back to that video to watch it. All right, in today's video I'm going to be talking about savings, like how to save, where to get money to save. Like, you need to make money first, so where do you even get the money to save? And we're going to talk about that and sort of debunk some myth that comes with the myth of thinking, oh, I don't make enough to save. We're going to talk about all of that, so make sure you keep watching. Okay, right, we're going diving straight into, we're talking about savings today. Now let me tell you a little story. Some years ago, before I got married, before I got a house, before any of that, I was making okay money, not great, but it was okay. And I used to feel like I didn't have enough to save, or I wasn't making enough to sort of have enough to put away to save. And then at the time I was living at home, I was living with, by home I mean I was living with my sisters, and I wasn't paying sort of any accommodation cost at the time. So again, I should definitely have been able to save, but for some reason I felt like, well, not only did I feel like it was at the end of every single month I just would have nothing, so it was almost like I was living from paycheck to paycheck. And then comes a time when I'm like, you know what, I have to move out. I want to get a place. So I decided to, move out, get a place. I got a shared accommodation because, single girl, why not? This place, I think it cost £500 a month. I was on the same salary that I had been at the time when I was saying I didn't have enough to save. And guess what? I had enough to pay £500 a month, more than enough. It was never a struggle to pay rent. In addition to that, at that point, obviously because I moved out, I was obviously paying more in terms of feeding. Obviously I was doing that when I was with my sisters as well, but not as much. So now I had, I definitely was paying rent. I definitely was paying more, towards feeding and things like that. And I wasn't struggling. So can you tell me where that extra £500 or at least £600, if I include feeding, came from every month from the same salary? So this debunks the first myth of feeling like you don't have enough. I know that there are genuinely situations where what you make, you're barely, scraping by, and you're barely surviving. And maybe this is not necessarily targeted at you at this time, but it's definitely something you should still watch, so that by the time you start making more money, you can do that. And then what I realized, which I wasn't doing at the time, was that if I had sort of put away money, say once I got paid every month, say maybe the £500, if I put it away in an account, it doesn't even have to be an ISA, right? ISA, or it doesn't have to be a fixed deposit account, sort of accounts that you can't quickly reach for to get the money if you needed to. Even what I did, I just opened, I went to my banking app, just opened a savings accounts from the app. It was 2 minutes or less. Very easy, very seamless. And then I went there, got what I needed, got a savings account, and each month I'll put a certain amount of money there. I should have been doing that at that time, because definitely I could have at least saved at least £600 a month, and I'm sure I could do more, because when I was paying all of this, it's still I still had money, so it wasn't like I was struggling. I was on the same salary, right? So just to put it in context, that and feeling a lot of times we just feel like we don't have enough, but it's actually because we haven't gotten into a discipline of actually putting money aside. So my first advice is for you to open a savings account. Doesn't matter whether you think you have savings or not. Open a savings account. If you think that what you earn is too little to cover, your outgoings on a given month, or your compulsory outgoings, because sometimes the things that we call outgoings are not really outgoings, or shouldn't really be outgoings. So your compulsory outgoings, if you don't think you have enough, you don't have to put it like in a fixed deposit, just like your standard regular savings bank. It's not even because it's getting interest or anything. It's just you're trying to get into a discipline of putting money aside. And what that did for me was, even though like when I go to my banking app, I'll literally see my current account, I'll see this savings account, like I can see it there. But if it wasn't somehow psychologically, if that money was not in my current account, I didn't see it as my money. So just because it was one step below, like in my savings account, on the same page, on the same screen on my banking app, right, I somehow in my head could sort of separate it and see only the money in my current account as a savings account. So clearly what I'd been missing out on all these years was a lot of money that I could have put away to save, to use for other things, to save towards a project or stuff like that. But because I hadn't been putting it separately, things would just come up in a month. You think, oh, I can splash a little on this, I could do this, I could do that, because I saw the money in my current account and I just thought, oh, I have money, I can spend it, right? So my first advice is for you to open a savings account. Doesn't matter where you think the money is coming from to save currently, just forget that. Open a savings account, and once you get paid, put a certain percentage or a certain sum towards just transfer it, like the day you get paid, transfer a certain sum, preferably like a portion that, especially if you're trying to actually get into the discipline for the first time, so put something that will be considerable, like and again, you should probably watch my first video where I talked about like what are your outgoings, what are the things that you absolutely need to pay for, like you want to keep in, sort of know, like, okay, like this month, if I get paid on 31st of May, for instance, I'm going to pay rent on the 1st of June. I'm going to pay my gas bill, my utility bill. I'm going to pay for my gym membership. And I'm going to pay for like my student loan. That'll probably be taken out of your salary already. Or I'm going to pay for like a loan, a credit card, or stuff like that. So stuff like that, you already have a number for it. You should have a rough idea of what your transport would be, what your feeding may be, stuff. But you can even, I wouldn't even bother about feeding for now. I'll just take out like a lump sum after sort of putting the rest for those bills, those necessities, putting them aside, and I'll just take out a lump sum and put that in your savings account. Trust me, we have a lot more than we think we have. I was saying in the previous video as well that like recently we downloaded, like by we I mean my husband and I, we downloaded one of our bank statements, and I was surprised at how much was it was a business account, like how much was going in and out of that account every single month. So sometimes like when you actually like print out those statements and they actually really deep or really think about like how much you're making or how much is coming in and is going out, then you realize that you're actually just not disciplined. And that's the truth. I'm saying that like I'm also speaking to myself, because I know that I definitely can be more disciplined with money, but definitely it helps psychologically. So when you're thinking about going on that next holiday, when you're thinking about, oh, I can spend a bit more on this, I can buy a bit more takeout, you actually, if you can't see the money in your account, for me anyway, this worked for me. If you can't see the money in your account, then you don't have it essentially. And the reason why, again, if you're not able to save, like, or you don't really have enough on a monthly basis to actually be able to save like in a fixed deposit or things like that, I don't really encourage you to save in fixed deposit or things like that. If you have savings, like a good savings where it's not like it's not emergency funds, just like savings, I think you should put that into things that are more tangible, like property. If you don't have a property investor and developer, so of course, like, you can definitely put it to use and put it to work better there. And even if you don't have enough to buy a property or stuff like that, you can invest, you can invest it in basically things that will pay you, that you get higher return for your money, rather than savings account. Like you literally get pennies in terms of like your interest on the savings. So for me, it wasn't about the interest, it was just being able to put money aside and get into that discipline of putting money aside. And I know that if I needed to pay something, maybe you may be saving towards like, getting a down payment for a house, or you're saving towards, going on this big holiday, or doing something, nice for yourself, whatever it is that you're saving for, just, start to put that money aside on a month-to-month basis, and you will definitely see that the same money that you thought was not enough, all of a sudden it's like it's multiplied, and it's now it's better. But I'll definitely love to hear from you. Have you ever tried this? Does this work for you? And oh, sorry, actually I lost my train of thought. I was trying to say that earlier, I was trying to say that if you don't have, basically it's not money that you can sort of just put away in an investment or not touch for a year. Like if you envisage that you need the money, or you could need the money sooner, then definitely don't put it like in a fixed deposit. Just put it in a savings, like in a general savings account that you always have access to it if and when you need it, and you have access to it immediately. So you can get it whenever, but because it's not there in your current account, or at least for me, it worked. Let me know if it works for you, if you've ever tried this and if it worked for you. Because it wasn't in my current account, I just knew that I didn't see it as my money to spend, or I didn't see it as what I had to spend. And somehow that just worked for me psychologically. Okay, all right, that is my major tip. And I think I definitely want to encourage you. The second thing is I want to encourage you to start doing this. This video is probably particularly more for younger people. Actually it's for everybody, but like, if I could advise my younger self anything, it would have been to do this sooner. Right now, I don't necessarily do that because I know like I have things I'll put my money into, like, we invest in property, we develop properties. So I would do that, right? But if I'd been doing this earlier, like I could even have gone for more holidays than I did. Like, I mean, I barely went for any holidays, like, before getting married and stuff like that. So even if it's just, to have money to do like a bit, like, nicer things for yourself, or apart from that, like, being able to like buy your first house, like, you don't have to wait. Like, you can buy, like, who says you have to be 25 until you buy your first house? You don't have to. So definitely I would encourage you to start this young. Definitely, no matter how little you're earning, start to put some of your, open a savings account, move it out of your account, and just know that what you have is what you need, so you don't really have excesses. Again, this video is not about how you can like sort of stop scraping and not buy water and bring water from home and get packed lunch all the time. Like, for me, like, I don't necessarily like food. Like, some people, it works for them, like they need to calculate what they spent every single day. I don't do that. I don't even check my bank statement every month, but I'm close enough to it. I'm close enough to like the algorithms, the incomes. Like, I know what is going out when. I know. So yeah, you need to get close to your numbers, but also like, develop that culture and get disciplined. And you definitely need this. You need this to even go into like investments, which I will talk about in subsequent videos. You need this if you're thinking about starting a new business, whatever the business is. You need some money to be able to put some money into it, and stuff like that. So it's definitely a discipline that I would encourage every single one. Okay, all right. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying the finance series. Let me know in the comment section what you want me to talk about, what topics you think that you would like to know more of. Do you have any questions? We could do a Q&A as well. But I know that there's so many questions that people have about finance, who to talk to about it. And sometimes it's like a scary topic. No one likes to talk about money. It's just like us. But yeah, let's talk about money, guys. All right. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Tomi Daniels. Goodbye.